Create with Fran Sydney. Hello everyone, thank you for being with me today for episode 62 of Create with Franz. We are going to create a new life. Have you ever thought about it? What does it mean to create a new life? It means to look ahead at what's gonna happen in the future. Really depends on the things and on the choices that we make today and the actions that we will choose to make thinking about that future. With that in mind, I have asked a question on my Facebook group and all over the place, and I asked my friends just one thing. Looking back, what do you wish you had done differently with your spouse or your children, which would have improved your life and their life back then or in the long term? What are you grateful that you did? Or maybe did you observe something in a friend, in one of your relatives that has really made the difference? And that is because relationships, when the parents are very busy with work and home duties, can be really complicated. And the children can really resent the absence of one of a parent or both. They can assume that they are not there because they don't care, they don't love them. And the parents may be really stressed under the pressure, the demands of work, a young family, so it's very difficult to find the balance. So I asked this question and I wanted to quote two of the answers that I had. Have a little chat. Maybe it's time for some reflection. What do you think? So I will first tell you a couple of answers and then I'll tell you other things that are connected to this. One of the persons that replied to my question said, I have been so busy with work and children that I forgot my other half. He needed a lot of reassurance and I didn't give that to him. I focused on the kids mostly. After 26 years, things fell apart and we're not together anymore. So be aware of your other half, as you will be together after your kids have flown the nest. And then she added to make sure you keep making time for each other, but also giving each other freedoms. And she finished by saying, I just wished we kept regular dates and doing things together with just the two of us, no kids. Another answer described a different situation. This is a homemaker and said that she had a very big and busy family. And in her words, we've had our rough patches and haven't always seen eye to eye, but chatting and chilling together has been something that has kept the channels of communication open and the closeness there. Unconditional love is key. No matter what has presented itself, we have worked through it. My only regret is that I took a lot of things personally when my girls were teens and I didn't handle it well. I found for myself that meditation and self-love has helped me to heal and become a more balanced person, which benefits everyone. I found that those two stories summed up a lot of what happens nowadays with working parents that are very busy, or maybe they are at home and they're still very busy because it takes a lot of work and effort to raise your children and to take care of everything else. And what I found in the interviews I had with a lot of people who work, they're very successful and they might not be at home for much of the time during the week because they're working. Some are working away, some just have very highly demanding jobs in care, maybe in a hospital, maybe a professional engineering job, whatever the job is. Or maybe they are just very busy because they are caring for somebody who is disabled. So it doesn't have to be a CEO, but just a job that is demanding, even if it's not paid, is still something that takes a toll on your own personal time. But in general, the busy people that I have interviewed really resented that they didn't really have enough time to spend at home. And when they did have this time, they're so stressed from work and they try desperately to relax many times they use social media and television, and without realizing that, until it was a little late, they kind of detached themselves from the family, because the social media is just a different world. It's not the people around you. And so what I recorded in my interviews was that very often the spouse of the children or parents who did that felt neglected, felt unwanted, and slowly they started to drift apart and just do their own thing. And so when the parent realized that he just felt the double guilt because he wanted to devote time to work and career, because it was of course the way to do good for the family, but they realized that the family was wanting time with them and quality time. So they didn't just want an hour together, they wanted more of that. And one interesting thing, a comment that I heard quite a few times, was that just watching a movie together in silence, is quite good, but it doesn't really substitute for a good chat when the devices are all switched off, and when the parents and their children, and then when the spouses are listening to one another. They may be playing a game, or they're relaxing, they're going for a walk together, they take the dog out, they do something together without being distracted by social media. One of the ladies I was talking to in particular, a lawyer, she was saying that she had just realized, and she was like in her mid-30s, that she was not making those precious memories that parents want to have with the spouse and with the children. And then she found out that actually when they were going out for outings together, for parties, birthday parties, etc., she was not really present, because for some funny reason that she couldn't really grasp, her mind was always busy thinking about work correspondence, or maybe there was a contract to finish. Maybe she would wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh, maybe there is something I forgot about this particular contract or this particular case. So it was always on the back of her mind, and it was so difficult to slow down and switch off when she was at home. And I think that this happens to a lot of us, so that we are trying to multitask, we're trying to do many things, and sometimes we lose track of what is really the most important thing, because everything makes us run a lot, doesn't it? And when you go to work, whether you are in a hospital taking care of somebody who is terminally ill and might be saved, maybe they had something happening and you want to save them. Maybe you're just working to do deliveries and everybody wants everything immediately. Or you're working in a service provider company, so there is always somebody that wants your service to arrive immediately. And so the pressure is there is no denying that. There were also issues sometimes when the adult was not able to delegate something at work or even at home. So he would end up doing everything to make sure that everything was done well, and therefore maybe in his company he was one of the few that would spend the entire weekend working to be able to bring this report on Monday morning. And these are people that maybe do not have the courage to talk to the boss and say, look, I got the weekend ahead, I need to rest. You can't give me something on a Friday and tell me that it has to be Monday that is there on your table, because I need to rest as well. And sometimes we just take for granted people are not going to listen to us. And this happens, we're always running. And maybe our society just needs to slow down a little bit. Not everything has to be urgent. And there was, I think, a couple of years ago, a very interesting TED Talk that was talking about the big difference between taking care of what is important and taking care of what is an emergency. And sometimes we live the whole day just taking care of emergencies and forgetting what is important for our long-term goals. And the story was about this woman that was always too busy to do this move, too busy to do lots of stuff. She was always running, And then one day her boiler broke down, and because of that, to cut the story short, she spent this humongous amount of time at home waiting for the boiler engineer to come down and then to do all the fixing, etc. There were so many hours that went. And she survived. Nothing happened. I mean, the whole company didn't shut down and everything was just fine. And she reflected back, asking herself, okay, if I was able to find the time now, because, I had to fix this boiler, could it be that if I actually make an effort, I could find the time to do other things that are important to me in the long term? And I thought it was a question worth asking. And talking just a couple of days ago with a teacher, I just realized how important it is to listen to our children, our teens, as they go to school or are home educated, and listen to what they have to say. Because sometimes if our children do not find that we are available emotionally and physically to have a quick chat and see how they're doing, it could be that we will go somewhere else to find advice, maybe from their peers who are not maybe sharing the same wisdom as their own parents. And they might fall away thinking, well, my parents don't care, they're very, very busy. And I remember that when I was younger than now, I was a teen and my dad was always working. My mom was working full-time with him in the same company. And my dad was just not present at home. My mom was home, after 9 to 5 she was home, but he was always traveling to see clients, etc. And we just kept saying to him as children, we don't want the money, we want you, we want to see you. And he thought that he was providing for the family, so the most important thing was to be out and about. But he failed to take enough time to build up the relationship, because then when he was home, he would watch television, watch his football, and maybe go out to the pub, well, the Italian one, so there was the bar, and he would just stay with his friends, and then he would come back and we would be in bed. And so that was his way of winding down. But he failed to build the relationship where you can just go there and chat about everything. And I like people who take their time to talk to their children, so they know that they can go to them and be trusted. They can share something and not be judged or criticized or told off, but just share it. Of course, that was the generation of the 60s and the 70s, and I'm quite sure that nowadays, with so many parenting books, we have internet, we have courses, workshops, people are more aware of how important it is to spend the time to talk to our children and our teenagers, and as they grow up, spending time not only with them, but always have kept the line going, the connection going with your spouse. Because then, if you're nourishing all these plants, they all keep growing and thriving. But if you keep watering always the same plant, and the others are just not getting the sunshine and the water, they're gonna die off. And then you cannot revive them. So it's important for us to always juggle those things, thinking about what are our priorities. It's such an important topic that I thought it was worth remembering, because when I'm coaching somebody or I'm doing an RTT session and I see all this anxiety and sense of being defeated or running against time, it's important to just sit down and think for a minute. So if you are feeling that you are running a rat race, you need to slow down, and there is no time to do anything because you're always running. And all your time, when you finally get home, is spent not talking to your family, but maybe browsing the net or numbing the voices in your head, maybe with more work, because it gives you more satisfaction. Maybe you're spending time texting or browsing the internet or watching television, but you're not enjoying your family, because maybe you feel guilty, maybe they're not in a good mood, who knows, I cannot read your mind. Then maybe that's the time to sit down and to start thinking and to ask yourself, is this what I want from life? And also, is this the type of job and the career that I envisioned when I joined this company, where I set up myself, when I became an entrepreneur? Is this the type of family life that I wanted to create? And then just take some time to ponder this, meditate, and ask even your family members, how are we getting on? It's so good to spend perhaps once a week, half an hour with everyone and say, hey guys, how are things going? What's going on with you? Is anyone playing a game next week? Are we going somewhere? Are we doing something? Just be present, because life is tough as it is. And it's so important to build on our families, because that's all we have. That's the people who will be always loyal to us. They will love us and support us. And it's quite important to think about the job. The job isn't just a thing that gives us money. And money doesn't automatically give us happiness. Of course, having money saves you from a lot of problems. But happiness is not a direct consequence. We have to think that there should be a means to an end. What is the end? The end is job security. Fine, wonderful. But then you should be able to have time with the people that you want to spend time with, and nourish yourself as well. Just bear in mind that to the others, the way that we spend our time shows where our priorities are, because we always take actions that are based on our values. So every time you go to work and you add more and more to your plate and you think, I can do this. I can do this over the weekend. I'm sure that my spouse will not mind. Just think again, because, if, you die tomorrow, that's very bad, isn't it? It's a bad example. But if you leave your company tomorrow, they will find another person to do your job. They will find another lawyer, another doctor, another driver, another nurse, another farmer. They will find one and you will be replaced. You're not irreplaceable. But at home, you are irreplaceable, because nobody can be the mother of your children. Nobody can be the father of your children. And nobody can be the spouse of your spouse. It's you. That's your job. So if you have made this commitment to be with these people, and you are working and you're super tired and you think that things are out of control, it's just too much, everything is running, just sit down and think about what is really important for you. Think about your priorities, write them down, and ask yourself this question: where do I want to be emotionally, physically, and with my relationships in 10 years from now, in 20 years from now? Just think about it. Do you imagine that you're going to be sitting alone by the fire in the evening, patting your dog and wondering why you haven't nourished the relationship with your spouse? Do you think it's going to be nice to sit there and your children don't talk to you, they never visit you, they don't have a relationship with you? Or do you want to work on this goal when you still have your family, a young family there? Or maybe you have a family that has broken a little bit the bridges with you and you want to reconnect. It's time to think about it, because family is all we have. Your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your children, your spouse. This is what we are given in the creation to grow, to survive, and to do a lot more, to learn, to give, and to be happy. So let me know what your suggestions are about how to improve those relationships, how to find the right balance between all the work demands, whether the work you do at home or outside of the home, and the family relationships and the needs of all your children. Maybe you have disability, you have disease, you have problems, mental problems, who knows? How do you find the balance? Share this episode with other people and get the discussion going, because I think it's so good for society to sit down for a minute, stop running and think of what is really mattering. And as I quoted in my Facebook Live about this very topic, there was a guy called Harold B. Lee that said that no success can compensate a failure in the home. So it doesn't matter if you are a CEO, you're a millionaire, you're Elon Musk, you can go to the moon and back. But then when you come back home, if you have nobody to celebrate it with, and this is because you have not worked on those relationships, that is not going to be so great. So make sure that you calibrate all your commitments. Look at your diary, look at your needs, your need to nourish yourself, the need to nourish your other half, and if you have children, you need to spend time with them. Let me know what you think is the best things we can do to nourish those relationships and to keep our emotional health in check, because it's so important. And this is of course something that everyone should do. Just spend that time with a family and just enjoy them, because families are forever. If finding those answers is very difficult for you, if there's a lot of confusion and a lot of pain and you don't know where to go, feel free to contact me. You know where I am. You can go to calendly.com/FranSydney and get a free consultation, and I can work with you just one-off session or coaching, or we can have a program together. There is nothing to worry about. You can get sorted out. I'm here to help, and there is nothing better for me than to see that somebody who had so many problems in his mind and something that looked very impossible is able to chunk them down into small bits and actually take control again of his own life and actually enjoy day after day what is going on. And that is a beautiful thing, because we are created to have joy. To find this joy, we have to really look at what life is about and looking at our goals and priorities and values and action. Make sure that they are always aligned. And with this, I want to close this episode, and I want to thank you so much for being with me today. And this was episode 62, about the balance from work and home and relationships. Thank you again, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. You've listened to Create with FranSydney.